The night shift began like any other for Maria, the air heavy with the scent of antiseptic and the quiet hum of fluorescent lights flickering overhead. The hospice facility, a sanctuary for those nearing the end of their journeys, was wrapped in a blanket of stillness, broken only by the occasional shuffle of feet or the soft beeping of medical equipment. As she walked through the dimly lit corridors, her heart swelled with a familiar mix of compassion and resolve. For years, Maria had dedicated herself to caring for those who were often forgotten, finding solace in the small moments of connection that could brighten even the darkest days. Tonight, however, felt different. As she made her rounds, she was drawn to room 204, where Richard Woodson lay. He was an elderly man with a frail frame, his skin pale and fragile like parchment. Terminal cancer had ravaged his body, but it was his spirit that intrigued her the most. Richard was a man of few words, often lost in his thoughts, but there was an intensity in his gaze that suggested a life filled with unspoken stories. He had been alone in this world for some time. His only connection, a court-appointed guardian who had left without a word, leaving Richard to navigate the twilight of his life in solitude. As Maria examined Richard's chart, she noticed something peculiar: his insistence on keeping a personal journal. It was a simple leather-bound book, worn at the edges, that he clutched tightly to his chest whenever she entered the room. He became visibly agitated when it was taken from him, his eyes darting with a mix of fear and desperation. Maria's intuition, honed over years of working in hospice care, told her that this journal held more than just musings. It was a vessel of secrets, perhaps even a lifeline to a past he could not let go of. One night, while adjusting his linens, Maria's curiosity got the better of her. She noticed the journal peeking out from beneath his pillow, its presence almost magnetic. Unable to resist, she gently pulled it out and opened it, her heart racing as she began to read. The first entry was haunting, filled with a sense of urgency that sent shivers down her spine. Richard's handwriting was shaky but determined, and the words hinted at a dark truth concerning children, a truth that seemed to weigh heavily on his soul. As the nights wore on, Maria found herself drawn to Richard's room more often, captivated by the fragments of his life that he shared with her. He spoke of his years as a janitor at Pinewood Elementary, where he had uncovered financial discrepancies related to a scholarship fund meant to assist underprivileged children. Richard's voice trembled as he recounted the tale of Principal Douglas Harmon, a man who had commanded respect and admiration in the community, while secretly embezzling funds meant for vulnerable students. Richard had witnessed the manipulation of records and the silencing of anyone who dared to challenge Harmon's authority. With each revelation, Maria felt the weight of Richard's burden. He had struggled for years with the injustice he had witnessed, paralyzed by fear of the repercussions that might follow if he spoke out. The journal was a testament to his internal conflict, detailing a chilling pattern of abuse and neglect linked to Harmon, whose facade of respectability masked the destruction he wrought on the lives of countless children. Richard had seen the impact of the embezzlement firsthand: dreams dashed, futures compromised, and a community left in the dark. As Richard's condition continued to decline, he began to trust Maria more deeply, sharing the details of his struggle with a sense of urgency. One night, as the moonlight spilled through the window, illuminating his frail figure, he handed her the journal, his eyes pleading. "You have to understand," he whispered, his voice barely a breath. You have to help them. I couldn't, but you can." The weight of his words settled heavily in the room, and Maria felt a surge of determination rise within her. When Richard passed away a few days later, Maria was heartbroken, but she also felt a profound sense of purpose. She could not let his story end with him. The journal, filled with Richard's meticulous notes and the evidence he had collected, became her guiding light. She reached out to investigative journalist Rachel Winters, sharing Richard's story and the chilling details he had documented. Rachel, known for her tenacity and commitment to uncovering the truth, was immediately intrigued. Together, they embarked on a journey to seek justice for the children Richard had fought to protect. They pored over the journal, piecing together the timeline of events and gathering testimony from former students who had suffered under the shadow of Principal Harmon. Each story was a thread in the tapestry of Richard's life, revealing a pattern of neglect that had gone unchecked for far too long. As they delved deeper, the community's trust in Harmon began to unravel, and the truth emerged like a specter haunting the halls of Pinewood Elementary. As the investigation gained traction, shocking details began to surface. Former students recounted their experiences, revealing the emotional and financial toll the embezzlement had taken on their lives. The public outcry grew louder, and soon the local news began to cover the story, shining a light on the pervasive corruption that had hidden behind a facade of respectability for years. Maria felt a mixture of grief and pride as she watched Richard's legacy come to life, fueled by the courage he had instilled in her. On the day of Richard's funeral, Maria stood among the mourners, reflecting on the impact he had made on her life. She thought of the battles he had fought in silence, the children he had tried to protect, and the weight of his unfulfilled dreams. As she listened to the eulogies, she felt a sense of resolve solidify within her. Richard's story would not be forgotten. It would serve as a catalyst for change. In the months that followed, a scholarship fund was established in Richard's memory, aimed at supporting disadvantaged youth in Millfield. Maria became an advocate for children within the educational system, inspired by Richard's unwavering commitment to justice. She organized community events, raised awareness about the importance of transparency in schools, and worked tirelessly to ensure that the voices of the vulnerable were heard. Through her efforts, Maria transformed her own life, channeling her grief into a force for good. The echoes of Richard's courage resonated within her, reminding her that one person's commitment to justice could create ripples of change long after they were gone. She found solace in the knowledge that Richard's legacy would continue to inspire others to stand up against injustice, to speak out for those who could not, and to fight for a better future for the children of Millfield. As she looked out over the community she had come to love, Maria understood that the fight for justice was far from over. Richard had entrusted her with a mission, and she would not rest until every child had the opportunity to thrive. In the quiet moments, she would often find herself reflecting on the life of the man who had once been a stranger but had become a guiding light in her own journey. The night shift continued, but now it was filled with purpose, and as Maria carried on, she knew that she was not just a hospice worker. She was a champion for the voiceless, a guardian of the dreams that Richard had once fought to protect.